Today, I think that the infantry commanders are having an edge against the cavalry commanders as we have two brand new releases of the commanders. First, we're going to look into Tariq ibn Ziyad. This is a new infantry conquering and defense commander. Now, from looking at this commander, I've kind of reviewed it in my own time, and it seemed that this is a little bit too overpowering. It might get nerfed. This might be the era of Attila and Takeda from Cavs going into infantry. Now, this commander is pretty much not good to be swarmed. There's some good combinations that I think that could work. We're going to talk about that in the video as well. With this skill, it says that it will be dealing 2,500 damage factor, which is a pretty high damage factor for a commander in Rise of Kingdoms. Now, if this commander is surrounded, let's say this commander is used for rallying, and typically rallies get surrounded from being swarmed. Now, this skill will then deal additional direct damage to the target. It will be the flag or a fortress or whatever structure that you are rallying, a city maybe. Now, the damage factor will then be multiplied from 300 damage factor times number of surrounding enemies, and it will be capped to 900. So that means like what? About 3 enemies in there, because 300 times 3 will be in about 900. That's the first skill of Tariq ibn Ziyad. I think it's pretty strong for what they have put here. This commander, if the performance is really strong in the battlefield, I feel like this will probably get nerfed. Now, the second skill, Bane of the Visigoth. Now, this is more of a passive buff. Infantry led by this commander will gain 40% increased attack and deal 10% more damage to cavalry. Wow. Infantry gain 10% increased marching speed outside of the Alliance territory. Now, what I see with this is actually a pretty good buff that they're putting into the commander, because if you think about the situation where you're defending a structure and you're getting rallied by Tariq, most people will dump whatever troops in a flag. Now, whatever cavalry is in there, it will take a lot more damage from Tariq. Also, this works in the battlefield. Let's say in the open field, you can also use this skill and be applicable in really crush some of the cavalry units that you are going to be facing. Extra 10% damage from infantry to calves, that really counters calves. And the Cavs gang might just be, suffering from this update that they're releasing, by Rise of Kingdom. When attacking cities and stronghold, infantry units led by this commander gain 30% increased defense. That's huge. 30% is a big number in Rise of Kingdoms. Each normal attack has a 30% chance to reduce a target's attack by 30% for the next 3 seconds. And it can trigger every 8 seconds. Now, you're getting defensive bonus, 30%. And then you're also getting normal attack damage reduced. You're reducing the enemy's attack. That is actually pretty tanky. So this is only effective when attacking cities or strongholds. So basically this skill that this gate... Now this skill is actually a pretty good complement to the first skill. The first skill allows you to basically fend off against swarms. But if you do get swarmed over there with the surrounded, you are still going to get some buff. Now, with that being said, with this skill, it will reduce the normal attack damage of the target that you're, focusing on. 30%, that's a pretty huge number to deflect in Rise of Kingdoms. So with this commander, what we can definitely see, it really does great in a rally situation. It like more of a survival mode, because it has a great ability to be more of a tank and also deals a lot of the damages. Now, troops led by this commander deals 15% increased damage and have a 10% chance to reduce a target's rage for... Ooh, wow, that is pretty good. Rage for 80 rage for 3 seconds. And this can trigger for every 8 seconds. I mean, like 80 rage is pretty huge impact into somebody if you're able to reduce that. So it is a proc, it is a RNG 10%. We have to see how many times this can proc, but when it does proc with the 80%, I think that's a pretty huge deal on limiting somebody from casting their active skill. So far what we can see is Tariq is a pretty solid commander that can be really used for rallying cities, strongholds, and other stuff in here. Now, this expertise skill is what we have seen in the first skill. If there was no expertise skill, the direct damage factor is only 2200, which is still pretty high. And if it's surrounded, you deal additional damage factor to the target. But if you expertise it, you get to multiply it. Now let's take a look into the skill animation that he's got. That's actually pretty simple skill animation. It's not something that is very like enticing in my opinion. Now, a few commanders that I can think of that you can pair with Tariq is, of course, you can pair with Sargon. But if you think about like Pakal and Herald, those are also some of the good combinations that you can do with Tariq. Sargon the Great. Now, Sargon the Great is less impressive in my opinion with the active skill. It only deals direct damage factor of 500, and I think that's very low for a legendary commander. So there's really nothing something special with the first skill for Sargon. I think that's mediocre. But let's take a look into the other skills that Sargon has. Infantry led by this commander gain 10% increased attack and 20% health. That's huge. Health 20% is pretty good. When attacking, this commander has a 100% chance to inflict stack of the odd. That is something new. Effect onto the troops, which increases skill damage taken by the target by 3% for 10 seconds, maximum of 10 stacks. Now, if you think about this, this might be a good combo for Guan Yu because Guan Yu has a high skill damage. Maybe Lilith here is giving us a little bit of a hint because I see like a bunch of Guan Yus on the side. But this might be a good complement for Guan Yu. But then what do we do with Scipio Prime if we do change this? Because giving this increased skill damage taken by the target, it's pretty insane. Pretty good chances of hitting it pretty hard from Guan Yu. I don't think Guan Yu needs to be paired with Sargon, but if you are running with a full infantry march and you have Sargon, it's a good supporting commander for Guan Yu because you're going to be able to inflict this odd skill, the skill effect, which is going to increase the skill damage taken by the target. So Sargon cannot be paired with a high skill damage commander. It has to be another march to support. So this might be actually be a good commander that can be used in the canyons as well. But it's definitely a good field support or field march in here in the battlefield. Infantry units led by this commander gain 15% marching speed. Okay, they also deal 10% more damage when attacking troops. Normal attack have a 10% chance to increase all damage dealt by this commander's troop by 30% for 3 seconds. So, I mean, this is a pretty basic passive skill. You get marching speed, you get infantry damage bonus, you get damage bonus. I don't think anything is special for this third skill. The fourth skill is going to increase infantry defense by 10%. Again, a passive skill when it's on the field. When a target troop receive a 10 stack. So you need to basically hone in and focus onto the target. I wish whenever this thing is released, it is going to have that stacking, well, similar to Tommy, to where we can see how many stack a target has accrued. So all stack will be removed to the target troop and will be dealt 1,000 damage factor. In addition to the commander's troop will receive shield that lasts for 5 seconds. So it deals damage and also gives shield to yourself, which is pretty interesting. This is something that we haven't seen yet in Rise of Kingdoms. We definitely need to see how these things are going to test and pan out. Now, the last skill here, it's a brand new skill. Reduces skill damage taken by this commander's troop by 15%. When their troop isn't hit with a normal attack, it has a 50% chance to inflict 2 stacks of odd. Interesting. So let me read that again. Reduce the skill damage taken by this commander's troop by 15%. Makes it tanky, right? When their troop is hit with a normal attack, it has a 50% chance to inflict. So if you're swarming this guy, and you basically are going to have a 50% chance of getting the odd by swarming him. So that's not good, right? If the skill is triggered when the commander's troop gains a shield, it will inflict 1 extra stack of odd. So now you get 3 stacks. The skill can be triggered once every 3 seconds. Now, if you remember, if you accumulated 10 stacks, the stacks will be removed and you're going to get damage of 1,000 damage factor. So the combination of the standing army skill and the last skill will definitely inflict a lot of damage to the target. For basically, it's a good anti-swarm. So with Tariq and Sargon being paired together, that is actually pretty decent march. Because in the rally, if you're getting swarmed, both of them have basically a porcupine ability. So, which is pretty good, in my opinion. Pretty strong for the infantry. And they did promise that they are going to be releasing a strong infantry commanders for Rise of Kingdoms. I am kind of upset in a way, we're like jealous, because I kind of wish that they would do the same thing for archers. So I'm hoping that they would be doing the same thing for archers when they do release the next archer commanders in here for the archer gangs. Now let's take a look into the animation of the skill. And ooh, that's actually pretty interesting. Now the skill, what we can see, there is no stacking, so we can't see how much stack we've inflicted to the target. So I wish they would update that and improve so that we can see the stacking ability of Sargon. So with that being said, we got two brand new commanders. I think they're pretty OP. I think they're very strong. I gave you a little bit of a slight combinations that you can do. There's really many things that you can do now with many commanders. Definitely worth to do some testing. I think Pakal and Harold will be great fit for these two new commanders. Probably Guan Yu. I'm thinking who else? Scipio might be a good fit for them as well, to kind of play around there and try different combinations. If you guys have any suggestion or ideas of what we can do with these two new commanders, what you guys think? Are they OP or do you think they're weak? Should they get nerfed? Let us know in the comment section below. And by the way, before we head out here, keep in mind that the formation system is going to be dropping pretty soon in here. And we're getting all these updates here from Rise of Kingdoms, which is pretty cool. Anyway, Rockers, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to sub, like, and leave a comment. I'll see you again next time.